today it was announced that pre-orders are starting up for the PSVR2. We didn't discuss this when this was announced, but we thought it might be a good idea to go over it now. The pre-orders, again, is news in itself, but what we want to discuss is the price. It was announced over a month ago that the price for the PSVR2 is going to be $550, and you are required to have a PS5 in order to use it. So in order to get VR on your PlayStation, it's going to cost you about $1,100 to do so. Zero, what do you think about the PSVR2 and its pricing structure?
As someone who got my initial PSVR kit for PS4 as a gift from my former boss, which I thought was an awesome gesture from my boss, because I think that year I had aced my yearly review, and she was like, "Hey man, I know you're a big video gamer and things have been tight on the budget, so here you go, giant care package of a bunch of PSVR games and a PSVR head unit."
Nice. That's nice,
Um,
man. I got pizza.
oh yeah, it was a huge gesture from her, so and I'm eternally thankful. But as a person who quite loved PSVR, um, even though I don't play around on my PSVR unit that much anymore, 550 for just the base kit is gonna be pretty pricey for most people. I mean, yeah, I get it. It's got some new whiz bang features like dual 4K displays on the optic screens. You've got the exterior cameras that'll help you not bump into your actual material possessions that are in your living room or your gaming room or whatever. I mean, it's got a nice feature set. I'm not going to deny that, but just especially with the economic downturn and everything, just I think it's going to be real tough to find people who are just going to wanting to dive in just full bore and everything and just go, yeah, sure, let me drop another $550 for like a VR unit.
Yeah.
Thing. And it's even worse if you want one game to go with it, because PlayStation is doing a bundle that includes Horizon Call of the Mountain VR, and that ends up bumping the bundle to like a whopping $600. So even still, just with that kind of cash and everything, I just don't see wide adoption happening. And of course, I can see what happens when maybe next summer arrives. Oh, due to low adoption rates, we're just gonna have to discontinue PSVR. So we tried, and just there's not a market for VR.
Yeah. Yeah. Apparently, the people who I will look at on Twitter who say this is a good deal, say that because the tech is really good. Like they look at, I guess, the specs and everything and go, I would pay $550 for that. I would. But the problem I see right now is that for that type of thing to work in the market it is in, and for it to be a success, you need more than those who are already going to buy it in the first place. You're going to need people who are going to look at that and say, I need to get that. And I want it. I want it, and it should be accessible to them in order to get it. To spend about $1,100 or close to $1,200, including tax, to get the full kit is such a price hindrance. And on top of that as well, I know you were a big PSVR fan, so you were a fan. To not have it be backwards compatible with the original PSVR games is a kick to the gut to people who already have those headsets, because now you're telling them, okay, well, the games that you have, you need to keep your PSVR set because it's not going to work on the PSVR 2. And maybe they'll do the right thing and they'll give you free updates for those games to play on PSVR 2.
Actually, I do have a point to that.
Go
So
ahead.
after the initial backlash, when people were just like, "Oh, fucking really?" All of my original PSVR stuff is not going to be compatible. This is bullshit.
Mhm.
Sony, I think a few weeks after, ended up doing kind of like a real quiet announcement on, like, I think Twitter and other social media channels going, hey, we'll be working with developers who want to implement an upgrade program to upgrade their titles to PSVR, and it'll be up to the developers whether or not they want to provide you a free PSVR2 copy for free. So there's that. But again, the key word is in how Sony worded it, which is it's up to the developer. So
Right.
if the developer is like a tiny indie operation, then more than likely they're going to say, hey, we are going to need your help to basically keep the lights on. So we're going to ask like maybe 50% off of the launch price for anyone who owned the original PSVR 1 version
Yeah.
and all, or hey, we can't afford to give discounts, so everyone's paying the same price for the PSVR 2 version. So you're going to either have a situation like that, and if that happens, I can see some people being real quick to go keyboard warrior on the internet and go, "Oh my God, indie studio such and such, so greedy. How dare they demand yet another 20, 30, 40 bucks for this PSVR game I paid for fucking years ago?" And
Right.
it's just going to be a PR nightmare for those tiny studios, unfortunately. Or I mean, if Sony really wants to own up on the goodwill, then maybe they help these studios and subsidize the cost and say, okay, well, we'll absorb the upgrade, the upgrades for any of your users who upgrade, but you need to give these users who want to get an upgraded copy like a short time frame of like 1 month, 3 month, maybe 6 months to claim their upgrade. And if they don't, then tough shit.
Yeah. See, that would be good in a goodwill sort of sense, but I don't see Sony doing that. Sony is still on its "we are the leader, therefore we can do whatever we want" kick right now. So there's nothing in the past few years that they've done that makes me think they are going to do that. And as much as PSVR was liked by a certain group of people, that group is fairly small. So it's not going to have the traction that it does online with, let's say, Horizon Forbidden West not having a free upgrade. It's not going to have that kind of backlash. So I don't see them doing that, to be completely honest.
Yeah, I'm of the same mind too, that I don't foresee Sony doing like a goodwill option and telling all the indie VR studios, hey, we'll subsidize the cost for any PSVR 2 upgrades or anything.
I personally see them reselling those games and saying, there's brand new features, updated graphics, and $60 for Astrobot, please. I'm like, what? That's what I'm expecting. I'm expecting them to take the greatest hits of their PSVR catalog and go, we're going to make it shinier. It's going to have new features because of the new controller, and it's going to be like a brand new game, even though it's not. $60, please. That's what I think is what's going to happen on that one. The thing that I have another issue with, and this is in regards to an announcement that was happened today, and it's that Apple is rumored to be developing a new VR AR headset, and it's going to be priced between the range of $2,000 and $3,000. Now, why am I comparing the two? Well, Apple is a company that makes premium, depending on what your thought process is of Apple, they make premium services and premium products. And they have a captive fan base who will pay the extra money, regardless of not how much of a not good idea it is to pay for it. See their computers, their Mac computers, so they can spend, let's say, an extra $1,000 on something that you get the same specs when it comes to a PC. Around those lines, I would say. If you are getting closer to Apple territory than, say, MetaQuest territory, what exactly makes you think that you have the tech or that people will buy into it? Because I can see Apple people getting those headsets and being thrilled with it and being fine. Like, they have a captive audience, they'll do it. And the MetaQuest is cheap enough, even though they rose the price, but it's cheap enough where people want to get into VR this is a good starting point. Who exactly is the PSVR2 for?
And that's a good point. And really, the only type of person I can think that the PS VR2 might be for is for the person who has a relatively old PC. When I say old, I mean something with maybe a GTX 1080
Yeah.
in their computer, and looking at the current graphic card prices, like Nvidia's 4090 RTX being almost a whopping $1,600, and then going, okay, well, gonna need the best graphic card to play VR games with no hitching and stuttering. Okay, so that's already that's already 1600 out of my computer building budget that I've got to save to get this top tier graphic card. And then, of course, the best PC gaming VR headset is the Valve Index. So yeah, that's yet another grand right down the tube right there. So
Yeah.
that's already $2,600 in tech, and that's not including your processor, your motherboard, your RAM, whatever else you need to build your PC. And so just the common gamer is going to look at these prices and go, wow, that's a lot of money to get VR that functions and works without any sort of hitching, lag, graphical drops, or anything like that. They may see the combination of a PS5 plus a PSVR2 kit being massively, massively under under the 2,600 plus price tag that a Valve Index kit plus a RTX 4090 is going to cost, and they're just going to go, cool. So I can get top tier VR out of a PS5 and a PSVR 2. Okay, sold, done. Whereas with the Apple VR Air headset potentially being targeted in the $2,000 to $3,000 range, I think that headset's likely going to be more of like a corporate product, like
Okay.
some of the corporate VR headsets that you can find from like HTC, like the Valve or the HTC Vive Pro 2, which that one's marketed as more of like a corporate VR meeting sort of product.
Or a metaverse product.
Yep, correct.
Okay. My thing, and you have some good points. You definitely do on that. My thing is, if they're going to price it premium, it better damn well be premium. Like, there cannot be a problem. There can't be one person who says, yeah, this is okay, but I've seen better on the lower priced VR headsets. Like if there's someone who says, I have a Meta Quest and I got this and they look comparable, that's a failure. Like, you have to blow people away. You need to be able to say, if you want the best games with the best looking graphics on VR, you have to have this. No ifs, ands, or buts. That's my thing. Because if you don't have that and you're asking for a premium price, this is going to fail. And because most people are going to look at it and go, wait a minute, I can get the same games that look just as good on the Meta Quest. Why would I spend the $1,100 to get this headset when the $400 headset is just as good? Or maybe not just as good, but it doesn't have is not a big enough upgrade to warrant that. Like, they need to prove that those graphics and the way that it works is worth that cash. That's the only thing I can see right now to make this work. Because if this comes out of the gate, and it has to come out of the gate, If this doesn't come out of the gate with people being amazed, this is going to be one, I think, in 2 years, they're going to just mothball to a certain extent. So
I think really I'll just be curious to see how it pans out and everything, because I'm not gonna lie, just I'm still very curious on PSVR 2, especially since I quite liked my PSVR 1 headset.
yeah.
But yeah, just even for me, the price is a bit hard to swallow. Just the same price that I paid for my PS5 console, it's just kind of like, wow, man, that's kind of stiff.
No, it is. Like, and you can only do one thing on that VR headset, and like I said, it better be good, because if you're having that price that much, and on top of that you have to buy games, like, it has to be worth it. You better have amazing tech that no one has ever seen before, because if you don't, the comparisons are not going to be in Sony's favor. Thank you for listening to this podcast segment. The Capital Games podcast is done every week, and we post it on all your favorite podcast apps, as well as segments on YouTube. If you want to listen to another segment, you can listen to a new one right there on the screen. We also do a movie podcast called the Capital Games Movie Club. If you'd like, you can go ahead and click on that and see all the movies that we have reviewed from that point. Thank you for listening, and we hope to hear from you soon.